Hey guys, Charl here from worshipguitarskills.com, and today's lesson is a continuation of what we looked at in the previous video where I showed you how you can get some melodic content from some simple triad chord shapes. So let's start right away. I'm going to play the hook line, and afterwards I'll break it down for you to show you exactly where I found the notes as well as the additional notes to give you some color, and then afterwards you'll be able to have a go at this yourself. All right, let's check it out. All right, so there you go. It's a fairly simple part, but it's quite cool in the sense that there's movement, right? It creates awesome movement. It follows the chords exactly, and it adds some nice color and melodic interest, right? So let me show you where all of that came from. If you watched our previous video, and if you also know your triads, you'll know that the progression that we're looking at here in this instance is a 1-4-6-5. So C, 4, which is F, 6, which is A minor, and 5, which is G. Okay, now in the previous video, we looked at if you take the C triad like this, you can swell into that E note. And if you take the F triad like this, you can swell into that F note. And if you go to the A minor triad like this, you can swell into the E note. And if you go to the G triad like this, you can swell into the D note. But now, if you play that as an intro, and let's just say the song kicks off now, and you want a little bit more of that melodic statement without, playing something complicated, all I did there is I used the same chord tones. In this case, it would have been an E over the C, right? But instead of just playing C or the E over the C chord, I went. Right, so it's a chord tone, and then I went back to the previous note within the scale, which in this case would be a D, and then back to the E again. All right, so that literally just played fret 5, fret 3, fret 5. Now if you hear that over a C bass note, it's going to sound something like this. Okay, in essence, what's happening there, it's the third going to the ninth, and then back to the third. Or you could say the third to the sus2 and back to the third. Imagine if you were to play somewhere in acoustic and you do something like, that. It's exactly that same thing that we're playing, but we just did it in the key of C, right? So that's what I played over C. I had my chord tone, and then for some melodic interest, I took the note before that chord tone in the scale and then played the chord tone again. Now what happened there? Well, that is, so I started on C, now I know that was the chord tone that I wanted to land on, right, for F. Also happens to be the note F. So I went fret 3, fret 5, fret 6. And in this case, I believe I played pick, hammer, pick. And then I played the 8th fret on the E string. So where does this note come from? Well, you remember, if this is F, so is this, based on those triad shapes. So then I just had that high note to kind of complete my idea there. So it was over C, for that 8th fret. And then when we went to A minor, I played the same thing that I did over C over A minor. And you can hear that sounds very different than what I did over the C. Exactly the same two notes, but because the chord underneath it is different, it changes the quality of those notes, okay? So I did that for A minor. And then for G, that is my chord tone that I wanted to go to, and then I slid up to the 5th fret and then back down to the 3rd fret. And where do you think this G note comes from? Well, it comes from that triad. But it just sounds for my ear, sounds a bit better if I slide into it with that articulation as opposed to just playing. That of course can work too, but that just kind of gives me a little bit more of the way that I want to treat that melody. So now that you know what I did there, for the C I played, and then for the F, for the A minor, and then for the G. Let me play it for you with the track one more time, and then we'll see what other applications you can have using this approach I've just shown you. Alright, so there you go. As you can see again, all of this came from the simple triads, and then the main thing is just you need to know what your scale looks like, right? So in this case, obviously if I play the C major scale, alright, so it's a fairly wet sound there, but as you can see, all these additional notes that surround my chord tones, now I can go ahead and get some things, melodic interest happening around the chord tones. Okay, and what I'll do now is I'll do a quick little jam, and instead of playing that simple line that I just did, I'll see how I can maybe even use a bit more of a rhythmic approach, and then just having my chord tones. I'll start it off once with just pure chord tones, and then the second time I'll add in the additional notes for some melodic interest. The whole reason that I'm showing you this is once you know the triad shapes, it will show you what notes to play. And then once you know the scale with the notes around those triad shape notes, which are the chord tones, you'll know what notes you can use for additional melodic interest. And then you can see some different approaches, whether it's a rhythmic approach or even some articulation, like we would use hammer-ons and slides and all those kind of things to kind of give that your own flavor. So let's check that out right now. All right, so as you can see, that literally was just a rough jam, right? In the way that you might build the song as it goes up to whatever the big chorus or a big bridge might be. It all starts by learning your triad shapes, right? There's a link in the description where you can find out how to just really get up to speed with all the different triad shapes so that you don't have to think about them. You can just play them at a moment's notice. That's the first thing. The second thing is then knowing how to play the triads together for the different progressions, and then checking out what are some additional chord tones, or actually non-chord tones, that you can add to spice things up, right? all those kind of things. And then you can see how you can use hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, and even some rhythmic playing to now actually make all those notes come to life. All right, so there we go. Nice and simple. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Check out the description. There's a couple of links to some additional resources. If you want to learn more about the Worship Guitar Skills Academy, where we go into detail around a whole triad workshop with exercises and the theory and additional examples for you to get all these rhythmic things dialed in. And you can find out more about that along with some other resources. And if you're not subscribed, remember to hit subscribe and smash that bell icon. You'll get notifications whenever we release new videos just like this one. Have fun, guys. Enjoy, and I'll see you in the next video.